Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit, Zappy here, back again with Kuroko in a Basket Season 1. We are on episode 11, and in the last episode we finally started off a match against a team that consists of a Generation of Miracles player, and that player in question is Midorima, the guy who likes to take long shots, and specifically high shots as well. Now, considering this is the first competitive match against a team that consists of a Generation of Miracles player, it's going to heat up, and really, it kind of already has. with Kuroko's pass last episode, that was insane. That was nuts. That was really cool. I mean, Midorima took his eye off the ball, and you know his head should be focused on the match. And now, because you know that has specifically that has happened. Now it's not going to happen again, right? I don't think there's going to be a case where he's going to throw the ball up in the air and walk back. You know, because he's going to have to, you know, concentrate on what is happening around him in particular. However, I did get some information, so I think part of the reason why he turns around and everything like that is due to the nature of his shots. You know, someone was telling me that the reason why you can't just wait for the ball to come down to the hoop and then knock the ball away is because that is something called goaltending. And basically, the only time you're allowed to block the ball without it being ruled out as goaltending is when it's basically on its, if you're talking about its arc, then it's before it reaches its highest point. At any point during that time, if you can, you know, stop the ball from hitting it, then, you know, that's absolutely fine. But once it's coming back down, you're not allowed to knock the ball away. So yeah, my whole idea about just waiting at the hoop and just and just knocking it away when it comes back down again, yeah, that's not allowed. So that makes sense. And I guess, you know, that's why it's so, like, his shots are so dangerous, because he does put that, it's like, you know, because he is so far back as well, but it's in particular the very high arc to the point where, you know, who can really block that, you know? But it means that Kagami's really going to have to get up on in his face and get up real close to him to stop him from shooting, right? So, you know, we'll see what happens next. And also, in regards to the way that the tournament is actually working, I was confused. If you remember, I was talking about how, wait a minute, I thought they were all in different blocks and everything like that. That is not the case. That was the case for last year's tournament. And in this year's, Seiho, Shotoku, and Seirin all ended up in the same block. And that's the reason why Senshinkan hasn't been seen yet, because they're in a different block. So yeah, I'm aware of how it works now, which basically means we have to beat Shotoku if we want to advance through and get to the Inter High. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of put like a spanner in the works of how much I thought I, you know, knew about what was going to happen. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be an incredible match. So yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about. So yeah, we're just going to get into episode 11 and see what we get. If you do want to go watch the actual reaction, link is in the description. There's also the link to the full length there. If you do want to watch it in full, then feel free, and not just the 10-minute version. So yep, we're going to get in episode 11, see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 11, and yeah, I mean, fucking hell, the big thing with Midorima, the whole court being his range. I mean, I should have really, like, I mean, I did point this out, like, in some episodes past, where it's that thing of, because, like, each of them clearly has something that is, like, it's strictly their ability, right? And it's like, when push comes to shove and they have to go all out, that, you know, it's obvious to kind of think, well, with Midorima having long shots, his whole thing would just be going further and further away from the net, you know, and just getting longer shots in. But I didn't expect it, like, this soon. You know what I mean? Like, it's the first fucking match, you know? And it's really only the first full episode of the game, and he's already shot from his own fucking, you know, his own side. Like, under his own net. It's a good thing that the gym that they're playing in is that high. You know what I mean? Because if the ceiling was any lower, I don't know if he would be able to arc that shot. You know, but yeah, I mean, I guess he can always like lower the arc of his shot, but you know, I mean, judging from the way that it was with Kagami there trying to block that last one, that I feel like, you know, I talked about a little bit in the reaction, but the idea is that because the arc of his shot is so high, it means that if Kagami does want to block it, he has to jump that much higher to stop the you know, because, you know, if you're talking about the arc of a shot, then it's basically like if you're talking about it on an angle of a hand, right? The lower the arc, the more the hand is like, you know, more reaching upwards 90 degrees. But if you're doing it so high, your hand's basically all the way back here, which means that you know what I mean? You're essentially almost firing the ball straight up, you know? So, and you know, if you're blocking a shot, essentially it's the same with like, you know, with volleyball, when the blockers themselves go to stop a spike or anything like that, they'll put their hands over and forward, you know? It's like basically that's what they have to do, like what Kagami would have to do if he wanted to block that shot. He has to jump up forward and place his hand over the top of Midorima's hand, essentially. You know, but I mean, even Kagami had pointed out that Midorima does have a good, like a high jump, even on, you know what I mean, when he's shooting the ball. So, you know, but Kagami is getting warmed up. So we saw that, at the end of the episode, he's getting fired up. And, you know, I mean, we saw this when he went up against Kisei in the practice match. But it's like I say, competitive matches are so much more, because there's actually stakes on the, you know, there's actually higher stakes. In a practice match, it's not really, other than pride or whatever. But in a competitive match, right, you need to win to get through. It's, you know, it'll up that game even more. So while that can work, you know, in Midorima's favour, it can also work in Kagami's favour. We're just going to have to see how... Because realistically, they've already pointed out the fact that this is Kagami's and Kuroko's game, really, right? I mean, it's not that the second years are going to do nothing, because they are, you know. But this is where Kagami and Kuroko need to step up their game, like the second years did against Seiho. Because that was the whole reason, you know, it's them clearly stopping Midorima, right? But they didn't even take Tako into account, because they didn't know what he was capable of. Because he's a first year as well, he wasn't there last year, so, you know, but it could be a case of if Kuroko and Midorima are having to stop, if Kuroko and Kagami, are going to have to stop, you know, Midorima, then it could be a case of we have Izuki actually go to Tako, right? Because he pointed out that there was that whole, you know, he has the eagle eye thing, right? But Tako has this hawk eye where he's able to see on like a cone shape, like that's even further. That he's able to determine where everybody is, and his is a wider range. So it could be a case of them two going up against each other. Like it could be like a sort of a, I don't know, how would you describe it? Like a chain reaction kind of thing, right? You have Kuroko is getting stopped by Tako, and then Tako could be stopped by Izuki. The problem with that is, I mean, they're going to have to change their sort of tactics and the way they approach the game defensively, I think, seeing as that is the case. Like, it could be, you know, like, having Izuki focus on Takao and where Takao is going, so that he can intercept plays that Takao intercepts from Kuroko, you know. That could possibly be the way to go about this, you know, because even though Izuki said that apparently that Tako's vision is like greater, I don't. It seems as though like the way that they were explaining it was his cone of vision's like, it's more, it covers a vaster area, but he's more seeing it as like a block of people, whereas Izuki may see it more as individuals, right? So if he's able to pick out exactly where Takao is, right, then, you know, and keep his focus and attention on him, then maybe we can cut out Takao altogether there, and then that allows for, you know, Takao would then be forced to focus on what Izuki is doing, which will allow Kuroko the time for him to get back in a position where he can misdirect and not have to worry again, you know, because then you basically, Takao has to try and focus on 2 people at once, and with one of them being Kuroko, that's you know what I mean. I feel like Kuroko's got his number there. You know, but I mean, even Taco is like, you know, being able to use, he uses misdirection of his own. I mean, I was figuring like every single one of his passes were around the back, you know, and I thought it was like, you know, there's definitely like some flair, some similarities there that he has that with Kuroko, and I didn't even think for a second that, yeah, it's basically, you know, he's using the same technique as what Kuroko does. And I even said in the reaction, it's like, well, yeah, it's like, but I guess I can guess which player is better at it, right? And that would be Kuroko. I mean, physically, obviously Taco has got him all day, every day. But once Kuroko gets it, I'm sure he'll be able to outmaneuver Taco. You know, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. I mean, they shut out Midorima for a bit. It was obviously until the coach even pointed it out. So yeah, the coach is like, he's able to he picked up on Kuroko pretty much immediately as well. So, you know, so there's that. I mean, but that's the, you know, that's the strength of tactics. You know what I mean? You change the game up slightly, and it doesn't. You know, you can really change the momentum of a game with that. So yeah, I mean, Midorima as well, he went back into the whole respecting of Kuroko as well. Like, we've heard that before when he was talking to Kisei about it. But he hates him, so... well, he doesn't hate him, he just doesn't like him. Because of the whole thing of, like, back when he was at Teiko, he was the one that individually couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything by himself, and yet he still managed to wear the jersey and be on the court, you know? Which means that, you know, it's that kind of thing of... You see, because I was wondering where he was going with it in terms of why he respects him, but I think it's specifically because the fact that he can't do anything on his own. And he was, like, sort of like... Maybe... I don't know if coordinating is the correct term, you know what I mean? But he was the one that essentially linked them all together, because every one of them was all individuals, right? Kuroko being in the middle... You know, you give the ball to Kuroko, he gives it to one of the other generations of miracles, right? And he was the one that was like just sort of passing it off to the other players. So he was kind of like the heart of the team in a way. You know, so yeah, I mean, technically he would be the brain, wouldn't he, if he was coordinating? So I don't think he's like really coordinating more than the fact that he's getting it and passing it on. It's the same way as like a heart works, really, if you want to use that analogy. You know what I mean? The blood comes in, pumps it, and, you know, it pumps it to the rest of the body. So that's kind of like what Kuroko is like. And I think that's where Midorima's talking about, like, the sort of like respect there. That he was the one that was able to link up play, even though he's not able to do anything all that much individually. He can, you know, he was the one playing for the team. But I was wondering if it was a case of the fact that because he had an ability on his own that was completely different from everyone else's, that if he would feel the same way about the other generation of miracles. But, you know, I don't know. But he says that, yeah, like, he doesn't like him because he ended up joining a team that doesn't play to his strengths. You know. But, I mean, it's a bit of a petty thing to, like, you know, I mean, I guess it's just for the fact that Midorima wanted him to, you know, join a team where he can be at his best. So, you know, I can admire Midorima for that, you know, but you also have to respect that it's just Kuroko's choice, you know. And, you know, there's going to be times specifically like where, and this happens like all the time, where they'll shock people, they'll shock other teams, you know. You know, at times like in just sports anime where it's like they just underestimate the team so much, they underestimate our team, and you know what I mean. It's the worst thing you can do is underestimate a team. You know what I mean? Because that means that you're not 100% on your game either. You're like, oh, we can play around with this a bit, we can chill out a bit, we don't have to go full force. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, other than that, there was Hyuga who who essentially made his own stakes and finding out how to cope under pressure and how he can like have that sort of composure, especially when, you know, because with him being the clutch shooter and having to shoot from outside of range, like, you're gonna have people coming up on you trying to block the shot in any way, whatsoever. And in basketball is a sport of very high pressure, because it is like you've always got someone on top of you, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So having to deal with pressure is a big thing in basketball, I'd imagine. So yeah, but I like the fact that he had to basically every time he missed a shot, he would have to break one of his figurines, and that's what basically changed the way that his personality is, and that's the reason why he is the way that he is now. It's just funny little backstories there. But yeah, I mean, that's all I've got for this episode. So yeah, really cool. Can't wait to get into the next one. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below I have links to certain things. One of them is the Discord, so you can get yourself over there if you wish. And I also have a Patreon page as well. So if you do want to support me on Patreon, that'd be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards there, like early access. If you want to gain access to episodes and reactions a week early, then you can do with that there. And there's also full length for $10 a month as well. There's also an exclusive tier Patreon there if you do want to see my reactions to movies and everything like that. Then there's also that. But yeah, that's all I got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.